The call about Grandma Ellie's passing wasn't unexpected. At 92, she'd lived a full life, though the last few years had dimmed her once sharp mind. My sister Danny and I hadn't visited her Victorian home in Oakridge as often as we should have. Life gets in the way. My software job in Seattle, Danny's medical residency in Portland. But now, as her only living relatives, clearing out her house fell to us.
Do you think we should just hire someone?
Danny asked as we pulled up to the sprawling three-story house, its paint peeling around ornate trim that had once been Grandma's pride.
Not yet.
I said.
I want to go through her things first. Make sure we don't miss anything important.
The house smelled of mothballs and the faint trace of Grandma's rose perfume. Dust motes danced in the sunlight, streaming through lace curtains. We spent the first day sorting through the main floor, finding photo albums, collections of thimbles, and drawers of recipes written in her perfect penmanship. It was the second day when we finally tackled the basement. Grandma had always kept it locked when we were kids, saying it wasn't safe for children. As adults, we'd never had reason to go down there. The narrow wooden stairs creaked under our weight as we descended with flashlights in hand, the single bulb at the bottom casting weak yellow light.
Jesus, did she ever throw anything away?
Danny muttered, sweeping her beam across stacks of newspapers dating back to the 1960s. The basement was a maze of cardboard boxes, old furniture draped with sheets, and shelves lined with dusty mason jars. We worked methodically, separating items for donation, trash, and a small pile to keep. It was nearly sunset when I moved a heavy bookshelf and noticed something odd about the wall behind it.
Danny, come look at this.
The wallpaper pattern didn't quite match. I ran my fingers along the seam and felt a slight draft.
Is that...
Danny leaned in closer.
I think it's a door.
I said, my heart beating faster. I pressed against the wall, and with a scraping sound, a section of it swung inward. The smell hit us first, damp earth and something else, something chemical. Our flashlights revealed a narrow corridor stretching beyond the foundation of the house.
This can't be up to code.
Danny whispered.
Should we go in?
I asked, already knowing the answer. The passage was barely wide enough for our shoulders. The walls were packed earth reinforced with wooden beams that looked ancient. After about 20 feet, it opened into a small room with a dirt floor.
Oh my God.
Danny gasped. The room contained a metal desk, a filing cabinet, and walls covered with maps, newspaper clippings, and photographs connected by red string. A ham radio setup sat in one corner, its dials coated with dust.
Was Grandma a conspiracy theorist?
I picked up a file labeled Oakridge Disappearances, 1967-1973.
Look at this.
Danny called from the other side of the room. She was holding up a badge with our grandmother's photo.
Property of Oakridge National Laboratory, security clearance, top secret.
That's not possible,
I said.
Grandma was a school teacher.
Not according to this.
Danny opened a leather-bound journal.
Listen. June 12, 1969. Subject 17 showed unusual resilience to the treatment. Dr. Hoffman believes we may have found our candidate. The effects on the temporal lobe are consistent with our hypothesis, memory suppression holding at 94%.
My hands trembled as I flipped through the file I was holding. It contained photos of local people, many with missing stamped across them. With growing horror, I recognized faces I'd seen in our family albums. People Grandma had introduced as old friends who had moved away.
Danny,
I whispered.
What the hell was Grandma involved in?
The filing cabinet yielded more horrors. Detailed notes on experiments involving memory manipulation, something called Project Revenant, and coordinates for locations around town. Many were marked with small red X's. In the back of the room, we found a safe. Using Grandma's birth date, we opened it easily. Inside was a single VHS tape labeled,
"For my grandchildren, when the time comes."
We spent the night watching the tape on an old player we found upstairs. Grandma's face filled the screen, looking much younger than we'd ever known her.
"If you're watching this, I'm gone, and you found my work,"
she began.
"I'm sorry for the secrets. What we did, was unforgivable. But you need to know, the experiments in Oakridge weren't sanctioned by any government you know. We were contacted in 1967 by something that came through what we called a thin place in the woods outside town.
She described a classified program studying entities that could move between dimensions, entities that needed human hosts. Her team had been tasked with finding compatible subjects.
I got out in 73.
Grandma continued, her voice breaking.
I couldn't do it anymore. I took evidence, hid it where I thought it would be safe, but they're still out there. The program never ended. The subjects, the successful ones, they're still in Oakridge, living normal lives. Except they're not normal, and they're not alone in their heads.
The tape continued for another hour with Grandma naming names, the mayor, the police chief, prominent business owners, all carriers of these entities. She explained that the beings could lay dormant for generations before emerging, often in descendants.
I've watched over you both your whole lives,
She said finally.
tested you secretly. You're clean, but you need to be careful. They'll know when I'm gone. They'll come looking for what I took. The evidence is hidden throughout the house, in places only someone with Ellis blood can find. Complete my work. Expose them. It's the only way to close the thin place for good.
The tape ended, leaving us in silence.
This is insane.
Danny said finally.
Grandma was clearly suffering from dementia or paranoia.
I might have agreed, except for the newspaper I'd found in the hidden room. It was from last month with notes in Grandma's handwriting documenting unusual behavior in the children of the original subjects.
We need to keep looking.
I said.
There's more to find.
That night, strange lights appeared in the woods behind Grandma's house. Car doors slammed out front. As I peeked through the curtains, I saw the mayor and police chief standing on the lawn, looking up at the house. The chief's eyes reflected the flashlight beam in a way that human eyes shouldn't.
Danny,
I whispered urgently.
we need to hide the evidence, now.
We've been documenting everything we find, uploading it to secure servers. They've cut the power twice. Yesterday, someone who looked exactly like our childhood neighbor came to the door, asking questions about Grandma. Except Mrs. Branson died 10 years ago, according to the newspapers we found. If you're reading this, we're still in Grandma's house, piecing together her lifetime of secrets. Each day we find more hidden compartments, more evidence of what's really happening in Oakridge. The police have started wellness checks, trying to get inside. Last night I woke to find Danny standing at the foot of my bed, staring at me with an unnatural stillness. When I called her name, she snapped out of it, with no memory of leaving her room. We found a hidden door in Grandma's basement, and now we're trapped in her nightmare. The truth is scattered throughout this house, and we're running out of time to find it all. Whatever came through that thin place in the woods, I think it knows we're here. And I'm starting to see the lights in the woods moving closer each night.